They say you can't put a price on freedom. But for me, it cost exactly $3.50, the price of a coffee I couldn't afford. That's when he walked into my life. That's when everything changed. My husband's fists taught me I was worthless, but a stranger's kindness taught me I was priceless. This is the story of how I went from being a punching bag to wearing a diamond ring, from hiding bruises to walking down the aisle, from surviving to finally living. And it all started on the worst day of my life, when I didn't even have enough money for a cup of coffee. But before we dive into the main story, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and also drop a comment. Thank you. The sound of Marcus's keys hitting the bowl echoed through our small apartment like a gunshot. I flinched automatically, my hands freezing over the cutting board where I'd been slicing vegetables for dinner. 6 years of marriage had taught me to read the weight of his footsteps, the particular way he breathed when he walked through that door. Tonight, the air felt heavy with something dark. "You're home early," I said softly, keeping my eyes on the carrots. "Keep your voice neutral," I reminded myself. "Don't sound happy. He'll think you're mocking him. Don't sound worried. He'll think you're guilty of something. Don't start with me, Claire." His voice was already sharp, already looking for a fight. I heard him cross to the refrigerator, heard the crack of a beer can opening. Place is a mess. I glanced around the spotless kitchen, the freshly vacuumed living room visible through the doorway. There wasn't a dish out of place, not a speck of dust anywhere. But I learned long ago that facts didn't matter when Marcus came home in this mood. The mess wasn't real. It was just his opening move, his way of establishing that nothing I did would ever be enough. "I'll do better," I murmured, hating myself for the automatic response, hating how small my voice sounded. He moved behind me, and every muscle in my body tensed. The knife trembled slightly in my hand. When his palm connected with the back of my head, not quite a slap, just a rough shove that sent me stumbling forward against the counter. I barely reacted anymore. This was my life now. This was normal. "You're pathetic," he said, his breath hot with alcohol already, though it was barely 6 o'clock. "Look at you. Can't even stand up straight. My mother was right about you." I steadied myself against the counter, my eyes burning but refusing to cry. Crying only made it worse. Instead, I focused on a water stain on the backsplash, let my mind drift somewhere else, somewhere safer. I thought about the woman I used to be, the one who'd graduated top of her class, who'd had dreams bigger than this cramped apartment, and this man who'd slowly crushed every bit of light inside her. "I'm talking to you," Marcus snapped, and I felt his hand grip my shoulder, spinning me around. His eyes were cold, assessing, daring me to say something back. "You got nothing to say?" "I'm sorry," I whispered, and I hated that I meant it. Sorry for existing, sorry for breathing, sorry for being whatever disappointment he saw when he looked at me. He released me with a disgusted sound, grabbing his beer and heading toward the living room. "Dinner better be ready in 20 minutes, he called over his shoulder. "And it better not be that garbage you made last night." I turned back to the cutting board, my hands shaking now that he was gone. Tomorrow, I told myself, the same lie I'd told myself for 3 years. Tomorrow I'll leave. Tomorrow I'll be brave. But tomorrow never came, and I knew it wouldn't. Not until something changed. Not until I found a reason stronger than fear. The next morning, Marcus left early for work without saying a word to me. I was grateful for the silence. My head still hurt from where he had pushed me last night, but at least he was gone. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. My eyes had dark circles under them. My skin looked pale and tired. I was only 28 years old, but I looked older. Much older. I pulled my hair back into a ponytail and tried to smile at my reflection. The smile looked fake. I needed to get out of the apartment. The walls felt like they were closing in on me. I grabbed my purse and walked to the coffee shop 3 blocks away. It was a small place called Maya's Cafe. I went there sometimes when I needed to feel normal, to pretend I was just a regular person having a regular day. The bell rang when I opened the door. The smell of fresh coffee filled my nose. It was warm inside, and there were only a few people sitting at tables. I walked to the counter and ordered simple black coffee. I couldn't afford anything fancy. Marcus watched our bank account like a hawk. "That'll be $3.50, the girl behind the counter said with a smile. I opened my wallet and felt my heart drop. I only had $2. I must have forgotten to take cash yesterday. My face got hot with embarrassment. I'm sorry, I said quickly, putting the money back. I don't have enough. Never mind. Wait. A deep voice came from behind me. I'll pay for her coffee. And get her whatever she wants. A pastry, too. I turned around and saw him for the first time. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, with dark hair and eyes that were almost black. He wore an expensive suit that fit him perfectly. Everything about him looked rich and powerful. But when he looked at me, his eyes were kind. You don't have to do that, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I wanna, he said simply. He stepped forward and handed his credit card to the girl. Get her whatever she wants. I felt tears come to my eyes. It was such a small thing, just a cup of coffee. But no one had been kind to me in so long. I couldn't remember the last time someone did something nice without wanting something back. Thank you, I managed to say. It's nothing, he said. I'm Adrian, by the way. He held out his hand. I hesitated, then shook it. His hand was warm and strong. Claire. Nice to meet you, Claire. He smiled, and something in my chest felt different. Lighter. Mind if I join you? We sat by the window. The morning sun came through the glass and made everything feel warm and safe. Adrian sat across from me, drinking his coffee slowly. He didn't talk right away. He just sat there, comfortable with the silence. It was strange. Marcus always filled every silence with criticism or demands. So what do you do, Claire? Adrian asked after a few minutes. I looked down at my coffee cup. What did I do? Nothing. I used to work as a teacher, but Marcus made me quit 2 years ago. He said I needed to focus on taking care of the house. Taking care of him. I'm between jobs right now. I lied. It was easier than the truth. Adrian nodded. He didn't push for more information. This is my first time at this coffee shop. I usually go to the one downtown near my office, but I had a meeting nearby today. He smiled. I'm glad I came here instead. Why? The question came out before I could stop it. Because I met you, he said simply. My face felt hot. I didn't know what to say to that. Men didn't talk to me like this. Marcus certainly didn't. I looked down at my hands and saw the cheap wedding ring on my finger. I wanted to hide it, but it was too late. Adrian had already seen it. You married? He said. It wasn't a question. Yes. The word felt heavy in my mouth. Is he good to you? Adrian asked quietly. I looked up at him, surprised. His dark eyes were watching me carefully. There was something in his expression that made me feel like he already knew the answer. Like he could see all the bruises I kept hidden under long sleeves. All the hurt I kept buried inside. That's a personal question, I said, trying to smile. You're right. I am sorry. But he didn't look away. It's just that you have this look in your eyes. Like you're carrying something very heavy. I know that look. Tears filled my eyes before I could stop them. One rolled down my cheek, and I quickly wiped it away. I should go, I said, starting to stand up. Claire, wait. Adrian reached across the table, but he didn't touch me. His hand just hovered there, offering. I don't know your story, but I know what it looks like when someone is hurting. And I know that everyone deserves to be treated with kindness and respect. Everyone. I sat back down slowly. More tears came now. I couldn't stop them. I have a card, Adrian said gently. He pulled out his wallet and took out a business card. He wrote something on the back with a pen. This is my personal number. If you ever need help, any kind of help, you can call me, day or night. I mean that. I took the card with shaking hands. Adrian Cross, CEO, Cross Industries. I looked at the phone number written on the back in neat handwriting. Why are you doing this? I whispered. You don't even know me. Because someone helped me once when I needed it most, Adrian said. His eyes looked distant for a moment, like he was remembering something painful. And because I have more money and resources than I could ever use. If I can help someone, why wouldn't I? I put the card in my purse. I didn't know if I would ever use it, but just having it there felt like holding onto a small piece of hope. Thank you, I said, for the coffee, and for this. You're welcome, Claire. Adrian stood up when I did. I hope I see you again. Maybe here, same time next week. I nodded, even though I knew Marcus would never let me come back if he found out I had talked to another man. But for the first time in years, I felt something other than fear. I felt possibility. As I walked home, I kept touching my purse where the card was hidden. Adrian's words played over and over in my mind. Everyone deserves to be treated with kindness and respect. Everyone. Maybe that included me too. I went back to Maya's cafe the next week. I told Marcus I was going to the grocery store. My heart was beating fast the whole walk there. I felt like I was doing something wrong, even though all I was doing was getting coffee. Adrian was already there, sitting at the same table by the window. When he saw me come in, his whole face lit up with a smile. It made something warm spread through my chest. When was the last time someone was happy to see me? Claire, he said, standing up. I wasn't sure you'd come. I almost didn't, I admitted. He had already ordered me a coffee and a blueberry muffin. I sat down and wrapped my hand around the warm cup. We talked for an hour. He told me about his company, how he built it from nothing after his father died and left him with only debts. He told me about his sister who lived in California. He made me laugh with a story about his first business meeting where he spilled coffee all over an investor. I told him small things too, about how I used to teach second grade, how I loved reading books, how I wanted to travel someday, but had never left the state. I didn't tell him about Marcus. I didn't tell him about the fear that lived in my bones. But I think he knew anyway. Same time next week? Adrian asked when I had to leave. Yes, I said, and I meant it. The secret meetings became the only thing I looked forward to. Every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, I would tell Marcus I was running errands. And every Tuesday, Adrian would be waiting at our table with coffee and something sweet to eat. We talked about everything and nothing. He never asked about my marriage again, but sometimes he would look at my wrists where a bruise showed or notice how I flinched when someone moved too fast nearby. Those times, his jaw would get tight and his eyes would go dark with anger. But he never got angry at me, only at what he suspected was happening to me. On the fifth Tuesday, something changed. I walked into the cafe and saw Adrian looking at his phone. His face was serious. When he looked up and saw me, he put the phone away quickly. Everything okay? I asked, sitting down. Claire, I need to tell you something, he said. He looked nervous, which was strange. Adrian never looked nervous. I've been thinking about this for weeks. I didn't want to scare you or make you uncomfortable, but I can't keep pretending. My stomach dropped. Pretending what? That I don't care about you, he said quietly. That I don't think about you every day. That I don't want to help you get away from whatever is hurting you at home. I felt tears start to form. Adrian, I can't. I'm married to someone who hurts you, he said, his voice gentle but firm. I can see it, Claire. The way you check the time constantly. The bruises you try to hide. The fear in your eyes. You don't have to tell me details, but please don't lie and say everything is fine. A tear rolled down my cheek. Then another. It's complicated. It doesn't have to be, Adrian said. He reached across the table, and this time, he did take my hand. His touch was so gentle, so careful. Nothing like Marcus. I have resources, money, lawyers, safe places you could stay. I can help you leave. You don't understand, I said, pulling my hand back. Marcus would never let me go. He'd find me. He'd hurt me worse than before. Not if you had protection. Not if you had people watching out for you. Adrian's eyes were intense. Claire, I'm not asking you to run away with me. I'm not expecting anything from you. I just want you to be safe. That's all. I looked at this man who barely knew me, but was offering me a way out. A part of me wanted to say yes, so badly it hurt. But fear was stronger. I need time, I whispered. Take all the time you need, Adrian said. But please think about it. You deserve so much better than this. I left the cafe that day with my mind spinning. When I got home, Marcus was already there. He was early. My blood turned cold. Where were you? He asked. His voice was too calm. That was always worse than the yelling. Grocery store, I said, holding up the bags I had quickly bought on my way home. He walked over slowly and looked in the bags. Then he grabbed my purse and dumped it on the floor. Everything spilled out, including Adrian's business card. Marcus picked it up and read it. His face went red. Who is Adrian Cross? My whole body started shaking. No one, just someone who gave me his card at the store. He was selling something. Selling something, Marcus repeated. He looked at the card again, then at me. You're lying. I can always tell when you're lying. Then his hand came up fast and hit my face. The slap was hard, harder than usual. I fell to the floor, my cheek burning with pain. You've been cheating on me, he said, standing over me. My wife is a cheater and a liar. No, Isu, Shut up. He kicked the items on the floor. You're not leaving this apartment. You hear me? Not for groceries. Not for anything. You stay here where I can see you. He walked to our bedroom and slammed the door. I sat on the floor, holding my burning cheek, and I knew I couldn't live like this anymore. Adrian was right. I deserved better than this. I just needed to be brave enough to take it.